Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. Today we're going to be covering a couple of what appear to be the meta Strun Prime builds. Let's go over the incarnon, or the Strun Prime incarnon, particularly with the incarnon adapter. Let's go over the evolutions, when to pick them. And I've actually settled on a bit of a weird build personally. The Strun has always been super strong if built for raw damage, and strong also if built for a slash damage build. It's pretty easy to get 600k, 700k out of slash ticks for this. So it's one of those things where it really is like one of the better shotguns, probably the best semi-auto shotguns. Um, Kind of on par with like the Kuvacom and whatnot. So the weapons that got incarnon adapters only have 4 evolutions. Pretty common knowledge now. Evolution 1, you can't choose. Evolution 2, increased damage by +2 on the Prime. It changes for each one with channeled ability active. You gain +4 punch through. I actually went with this one for a reason. There's sort of a fun little build I've been enjoying with Gyre. But the probably flat out meta one is just going to be the straight up multi shot. Pretty basic, right? I enjoy the punch through though. It's a direct DPS increase, even more than the multi shot, but it does have the additional channeled ability, conditional. Then you have the third one, which is reload speed. The middle option is hitting a target with electricity status with a 40% chance to restore 1 round in the magazine from the ammo pool. Swift deliverance is projectile speed. Um, Unless you are really, really struggling for like sniping with this, the Strun has pretty good fall off range as is. Though technically it is a DPS increase. Um, the galvanized projectile speed mod is super strong on this weapon. So your mileage may vary. I wouldn't recommend this one. The default is going to be the reload speed. If you're looking for just a casual build, this really knocks down the reload time. Obviously, 60% is a big deal, right? But I'm actually going to be using the galvanic reload because I've been having some pretty good fun using this with Gyre. Hitting a target with electricity status, 40% chance to restore 1 round in magazine from ammo pool. If you want to use this, the only thing I could recommend is just mod the Strun for a heavy electricity and um, and maybe 100 munitions also. That is going to be fairly forma intensive because there is a 165 electricity mod for shotguns and you should use it. So if you're running a little forma light or you're free to play, reload speed's where it's at. I'm using the middle one. Whoops. And the fourth one, increased status chance by 11.3%. This is subtly super strong. Okay. The base status chance on this is 6.7. Bumps it up to 18. But that's per projectile. With a multi-shot of 12 at base, you can get this over 30 pretty easily. Basically with the galvanized multi-shot mod. And there will be no noob build with this. I'm assuming you've done Steel Path. So you have a very, very, very strong chance of proccing multiple status effects with this weapon. Then you have, which, and I would believe that this is the default one, even though there is a crit chance decrease, and that can't be understated. But the fact is if you're running a Riven, and I have a Riven for this, the center one can help you get higher tier, like crits. Like with my Riven and Avenger, I can regularly hit like 208%. So I go this one, but it's because of the Riven. If you are trying to do the slash build, which is a very meta build, we will talk about it. I would honestly suggest do the status chance, just because you get so many more procs out of it. It's pretty disgusting. But if you want a well-rounded build, Brutal Edge, and let me see what this actually gives us. 28 plus 200%. So the 4% will get us to 84%. 36 plus 200%. And the center one will get us over 100. So guaranteed crit. With 8% for an orange. While status chance will massively jack up our status chance. This is a pretty sizable increase. And this is also where the status jumps so much on the incarnon mode. Is because it's 11.3. So it's 11.3 times 12 plus the base of 46. So 181.6 brings us to 182 rounded. That's why that status chance is jumping just so much. You can get the status chance absurdly high if you wanted to, and this is part of the reason why you would run potentially this, especially if you're doing like a gas electric build, and there's nothing wrong with that if it's appropriate, like say like the against the infested. But I did choose the center one, and you'll see on my build, it's a very spam heavy build. So let's go over the type of damage that we can expect. And again, with the first one, the slash build, the meta build, you should probably be going with the status chance, because it's such a high increase, even over the crit chance.
Where would the sanctuary be without you?
And obviously the +4/+4 is a feel good stat, right? Everything gets a little buffed. Alright, so here we go. Basic build for slash. Nothing new. Nothing ventured. Nothing gained. Multi-shot. Galvanized Savvy for base damage. We are trying to proc slash off the status pool. This is where the percentage would help us out. As our multi-shot increases, we start getting more slash procs. We have a decent amount of crit. It would be like, what, 80-something%? I did the math earlier. 100 munitions would be proccing that also. But we have multiple ways of increasing our crit chance. And then there's also like the Vigilante set, which can give us a bonus, give us free oranges. And also the Avenger set which will shoot us all the way up back in to solid yellow crits and some oranges. I'm not going to say a majority. I think it's like 30% or something. But well-rounded build, primary merciless, critical deceleration for crit chance, primed ravage for crit damage, sweeping serration to adjust the IPS weighting. So when a status procs, it's going to give us the 49%, or it's going to have a decent chance to proc. Serration, honestly, is kind of a throwaway mod. If you have a Riven that has minus impact on it, it 100% takes the spot of sweeping serration if it has minus impact. I don't even care how bad the other rolls are. It's a straight positive after that, just so you can knock the impact down. Shooting barrage, fire rate, prime cleanse Grineer, if you're shooting Grineer. If you don't have this or don't want to use it, it's really kind of up to you. I like slotting in Seeking Fury, personally, especially if you're running the slash setup and you're not going for the punch through. Because you can see the punch through 6, which is a little excessive. Even galvanized acceleration for making your damage count better over like longer distances. But Seeking Fury still has some redeeming qualities. Look at the additional reload speed, the punch through. This will shoot through basically an entire row of enemies with a 6-meter punch through. For me, this would be my Riven slot, but obviously that's not going to be the case with the sort of not necessarily meme build that I came up with, but it's just I love how efficient, like the efficiency of those builds. But anyway, so Grenier would be your meta slot for a slash build since we're killing with dots. Faction and faction mods increase your dot damage so strongly, and sweeping serration, I guess, as like a consolation prize, does increase your raw damage. Like when you hit an enemy, this will increase that, but it does not increase your slash procs. So it is what it is. Having polarity issues. So this is a fat 14, which is not ideal. Let's get some exos in. This is going to be non-viral boosted. We'll show that in a minute. Gonna get some stacks. That 18, see a 24. Let's get a headshot. 76. Get a better headshot. Yeah, 115. There's a bit of damage there. Pretty standard damage. Alright, and our fully stacked. 16, 23 and a 16. 24, a 23 and a 16. So pretty standard damage. Nothing really to write home about. We can jack the damage up even more with a Panzer. Obviously, the viral is going to give us the damage boost to health if this guy will load in. There we go. And we should see a pretty heavy damage increase. Alright, seeing a 36 and a 78. Got a 62. Let's do a headshot. 348. 392. 443. Our damage is still climbing. Got a little 590. 717. So obviously the damage goes way up. Body shots are at 97k. $77 on that guy. Okay, headshot for the end. 751. So obviously you can get some damage on here, right? Obviously it would be nice to do Deadhead. And if you can make it work, more power to you. But Merciless synergizes really well with the dots. Deadhead doesn't benefit from killing with dots, right? So you would have to be able to get that raw damage on there somehow. If you did want to do that, you could do like a Nourish build with some armor strip. The weapon does do incredibly well with armor strip. Let's see, what do we got? Not that one. Okay, viral with a Deadhead. Okay. We'll wait for the electricity procs to disappear. So the AoE doesn't just one-shot them, because everything's paper. Alright, so 400 on a pellet. 452, 427. We're not even... Okay, 454, 400. So that's on a single pellet. You know, if it's got... at base, 25 multi-shot. Let's see what we got. Yeah, base is 25 multi-shot. Galvanized Savvy is obviously pushing those stacks even higher. Or sorry, Galvanized Hellas. It's doing quite a substantial amount of damage, right? It's a very raw damage build. We're not focusing on anything else. And we could get even more damage out of something like that. Get rid of Prime Point Blank, use a Riven. Obviously, that's the case most of the time. Using a Riven does increase your damage. But it would be... Obviously, I would want this to be a 90 mod. But with a very, very heavy viral weight, getting that bonus damage as much as possible on our full shot, with a total shot, including the projectiles, being about 12k, and the deadhead multiplier on top and the additional scaling from Savvy, would knock this well up into like level cap capable, because it was 454 with just one shot, and there's 25 shots there. Well, let's see what it is with Galvanized. Okay, so Galvanized is 110 plus 120, right? Plus 100. So 33 multi-shot. Oh wait, that's with 10, sorry. That would be 40, give or take. You'd have a little bit of RNG for the last one, but basically 40 multi-shot doing, let's say 39 times, we'll lowball it, 400. So it's doing about 15 million damage a shot. If you land everything on the head, and you can increase the damage even more with like Zadas, right? So it's a very, very strong weapon. It's absurdly strong, and you haven't even added in Savvy yet, right? The additional scaling on that. Obviously, the scaling from the other enemies was helping out, but in terms of like truly priming something with like an Epitaph or a new core with like Encumber, it's four stacks towards Savvy. Obviously, the big one's viral, but you could double the stacks easily. So maybe double the damage from there to about, couple mil, 30 mil on a headshot, right? So way better. But the build that I've been using in terms of like a meme build, I've actually been really enjoying this. And I know it's kind of dumb, but let me explain the logic behind this. I've actually been using this as a Mecca set. I'm personally a really big fan, please equip, of these hyper efficient builds where it's like every mod or every stat gets one mod. So Mecha Empowered, Pulse, Flow Equilibrium, Blessing, Double Range, Intensified just because of capacity, Rolling Guard, Cathode Current, and Avenger. And I modified the Strun to do cold damage. So if you notice the build, just to sort of, tap my own horn a little bit. Cleanse Grenier, Counterbalance, Prime Chilling Grasp, Shotgun Barrage, Critical Deceleration, Savvy, Hunter Munitions, and Galvanized Acceleration. This is probably the one that like I would swap out the most. Because Galvanized Hell is a massive DPS increase. It's actually a Hunter Munitions build. And the multi-shot and crit damage are on the Arcane. Vicious Spread is really good for keeping up the uh, electricity evolution, because you're hitting so many enemies. It allows you to hit more enemies and get more chances on triggering the bonus ammo back into the magazine. Obviously, this is a DPS decrease compared to Prime Point Blank, a pretty substantial one, but it's not a complete loss because we're still getting savvy stacks. And the cold doesn't give us too much of a raw DPS increase, but the real bonus behind it is we can use Frostbite, which saves us on multi-shot, or gives us more multi-shot and crit damage, which is a little bit more than Ravage. Not a ton, but it is more than Ravage. It's 120%. So that's basically what this is overcoming. Spread isn't too bad because of the bonus from Galvanized Savvy. Even though we don't have viral on here, we can get a viral stack, and that's part of the reason why I'm using Gyre. She's been modified for Gloom to trigger the punch through, and Cathode Current is enough extra damage, and Rotor Swell, which is constantly proccing electricity, and not only that, the electricity procs on this cause additional electricity procs. Constantly keep the electricity up, and if that's not enough, the Mecca spread allows electricity to basically be on anything. Blessing is just for tank. This is a health tank gyre. Obviously not a meta build, but it is fun. And Gloom, taking advantage of Blessing, and the combination of Gloom and Cold is really, really nice, surprisingly. It's more of a solo build. You'll probably off yourself trying to play in a group, but it is a fun little change of pace. And I'll show you basically how that works. So Gloom, Cathode Grace, Rotor Swell. And it turns into a bullet hose. And we didn't even get the we didn't do like double attacks or double fire rate. And you can see the slash procs are way lower, but you make up for it by having a shit ton of them. It was a little overwhelming going double fire rate on it, but I've actually been having some fun with this. It's a very heavy tank build. Obviously not Gyre's forte. You're seeing, you know, not too good a slash, but here's where it does excel. And this, I'm probably going to swap this over to an electricity based Strun. I think the 165 electricity mod would be better synergy. Because I always built this weapon for slash. But electricity with a ton of punch through does sound pretty nasty. Corrupted Bombard Eximus. And the mecha set triggers. So it just allows you to bullet hose it. Obviously, this isn't a hyper effective build, but if you incorporate some strip into it and obviously go for some electricity, it could be very potent. Do like a Terrify Gyre or something like that. But you would lose the punch through. But I've been messing around with this, and this does an hour no problem. Especially with all the raw damage. Basically every time you shoot, it's a completely new health bar. Every time punch through goes through. So if you're shooting and the punch goes through a bunch of enemies, it basically refills your health bar every single time. Not that this has a travel time or anything on the Strun, but it's fun. It's what I've been messing around with. But anyway, very straightforward, and obviously, let me show you the incarnon mode. To be honest, I know the incarnon mode is really strong, but I just wasn't a fan of it. Um, it seems like it's trying to be a Tonkor. I know pretty red numbers and whatnot. And you can get the slash up pretty high too. A negative impact Riven will put in God's work on this though. Let me try to get some stacks real quick. Okay, the Mecca set killed him. 1 second. And you could go with like a viral build for like 100 munitions setup. It does have pretty insane crit chance on it. And if you wanted to build specifically for this, you would go viral with 100 munitions. But if you had a negative impact Riven, you could get the crit chance really absurdly high. Like even as low as my strength is right now. Because of how high the crit chance is, I'm still able to hit reds. And if I was using the Riven, it would be solid reds. It would be like tier 1 reds, tier 2 reds. Or tier 4 crits, I guess, however you want to say it. But if you have a negative impact, you can really lean in. Yeah, negative impact. You could lean into the 100 munitions a little bit harder on the main shot, but minus impact won't help you a lot on the extra shot. And if you want to mod specifically for the radial attack, Galvanized Savvy goes away. So it is what it is, guys. Pretty solid weapon. A Riven massively changes how this weapon behaves, though. It massively changes how the weapon behaves. So you're looking for a minus impact Riven, ideally for the main shot. Minus impact won't help you much on the incarnon mode, because obviously the direct hit is pure impact. And good luck with that. If you roll a minus impact, obviously pretty ideal for the radial attack because it's puncture slash. You would have to adjust the slash or just rely on 100 munitions. And sadly, there's no like fulmination equivalent for shotguns. So you would just mod accordingly. But I hope this helps. A little late to the party on this weapon, but it's a solid weapon. I don't think it was better than the Latron. Like the Latron feels like it's new meta, right? And considering I have a Riven for that also, I probably should have done that one. But no regrets. I'll catch it next time. But really good weapon. Um, even even though I would highly suggest doing the Prime if you don't have the Prime, and you wanted to use like the Wraith or the Vandal. What's the alternative for this? Yeah, the Wraith. It's not too far off stat wise. You still got a pretty nice bonus. Obviously, don't be a dunce and put it on the Mark 1 unless you're going for the meme. I'm sure in the future I will probably do a Mark 1 Strun incarnon just to have one. But the Wraith would also be a pretty solid option. But the weighting does change. You can see the Wraith is impact. The Strun Prime is impact slash pretty evenly. So if you go with the with the Strun Wraith, you're gonna kind of have to rely on slash procs to get that popping, or you might want to, you know, rely more on the incarnon form. But the incarnon Strun Prime is a pretty good time. I honestly like the bullet hose build, though, with the gyro setup and the drain from Gloom. It feels pretty nice just messing around, having like a casual build like that. But it is what it is. I hope this helps, guys. A couple different builds. I made sure to throw in some stuff that wasn't mentioned meta-wise. Another good build for this would be if you went with the status Evo 4. Is that gas electric build is also very potent on this. I've tested that out. Gas electric is super strong, especially if you're using it with gyre. Because you have the electricity procs, you get some form of like strip on her, like you would run like a Terrify or even like a Theros Strike, or just rely on an Inaro strip because you have your 2 to group. So you would group, hit them with Inaro, or group and then Terrify, and everything just loses its armor. And the electricity procs from Gyre 4 and from the weapon and the gas procs are incredibly potent. So if you're going that way, do the status, because with the punch through, you'll be able to hit everything in the ball. And for most of the star chart, if there's more than like 5 enemies in it, they're just going to pop in a tick or two. So you could even do like a gas electric with like a 100 munitions build or whatever the hell you wanted. It's so strong. There's no real big brain version of this. It's so much raw damage, whichever way you pick it. So have fun with it. There's no secret thing to this. It's just a ton of raw damage and a nice little AoE. So anyway, have fun, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to next week. And like everybody else, I'm still farming the arcanes in circuit. So it is what it is. Take it easy, guys. Have a blessed day.